This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. Don't miss a moment on or off the field. Make every day a highlight with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIK.
So I've been at University of Oregon 4 or 5 years ago. So I've been at another big caliber place. The difference is typically if you have 5-star players, you have 5-star problems, right? They don't have that here. They have the players, but they don't have the issues. And the linebacker group is, and you guys see them do drills, you guys see them make tackles. They're even better off the field. They're so fun to be around. They're always smiling, but they know that there's a lot of competition in that room, but they're always helping the next person. Does that make sense? So to me, it shows so much growth as a man when, hey, do I want to start? Heck yeah, but guess what? I got to get my partner better too. That's the one biggest takeaway I had from this spring was how much they wanted that room to grow, and I think it did.
Nate Dreiling, the Oklahoma inside linebacker coach, talking to the media on Saturday after the Crimson Combine. Welcome back in. Eddie Radosevich, me, George Stoya, here from the Soonerscoop.com studios. It is a Tuesday, April 15th, tax day.
Tax day, pay your
Did
taxes.
You get it in?
Oh, yeah, I got my taxes. I did my taxes a week ago.
Are we getting money back?
No.
Well, Big Sam, thank you very much. USA. Welcome in. We wanted to wrap everything up kind of from the Crimson Combine, obviously hearing from Brent Venables, hearing from Wes Goodwin for the first time, as well as Nate Dreiling, as you just saw. We will get into all of that, a little bit more defensive heavy than maybe some of the offensive stuff that we talked about with Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer coming out of Saturday. But first things first, spring portal opens on Wednesday. I almost said Saturday. Tomorrow on April 16th, and a little bit of movement that you posted on the Crimson Quarter. One of the good reasons to be a member of Soonerscoop.com and the online community there. You can do so for just $1. We've been talking about it. Really good time, though, because things are going to start heating up. Obviously, a decision day possible today, and then maybe a person of interest, if you will. Jaden Not entering his name. But let's start with Luke Mikhailu. Jake Mikhailu. I don't know why I've done that multiple times, but I think because it's Luke Baklenko.
Yeah.
But Jake Mikhailu.
Yes, I think that's actually right. I think you might have nailed it.
We'll get it at some point. The offensive lineman, he had visited Oklahoma, possibly making a decision. You had put a little bit more intel up on the Crimson Quarter. Where does that kind of stand here as we're basically kind of waiting for an answer or for a decision, maybe even as early as today?
Yeah, so his original plan was to announce on April 15th, and I think that is still the plan. As of yesterday evening, from what I gathered, that is the plan. OU is one of 2 finalists. He's also visited UCLA, which I believe is the other finalist, North Carolina and Syracuse. I think that negotiations are still going on, which is, kind of tells you about the recruitment process, which is very typical in the transfer portal. Maybe that price has gone up, but OU is very much in the thick of it right now, Eddie. I think that they've got a chance. We'll see. I don't think OU's been kind of told one way or the other. They are a finalist, though, from what I understand, and this is somebody that they feel like can come in and compete for maybe a possible starting job on this offensive line next year.
What did we make of the Jaden Not news? I know that we've talked about the running back position. Oklahoma is going to be extremely active. I know that Pete Nakos had put it out on Monday night just in terms of, hey, when he enters the portal officially, Oklahoma will be a player in this race.
Definitely. And this is the type of player that, you and I have hinted at, hey, they're going to look at trying to get a running back.
Sure.
This is the type of running back Oklahoma wants. Dynamic playmaker. He was a little bit banged up last year, so I know some people pointed out his numbers weren't great last year at Cal. He missed a lot of time. Cal wasn't great. They were okay a year ago. They weren't a great group, but 2 years ago was phenomenal. I think he was a first-team All-Pac-12 selection, one of the best running backs in the country. Many believe that he could be one of the top running backs taken in the draft next year. So this guy is going to be one of the top prospects in the portal, and it sounds like Oklahoma right now is in good shape. We'll see. This is a situation where I've heard Texas wants to get involved. Georgia has been rumored to wanting to get involved. So you're talking about, and I'm sure there's going to be more. There's going to be a lot of big programs after this kid. So it's going to be interesting.
Look no further than Oklahoma's current general manager, Jim Nagy, he had tweeted out all the way back on July 6th, which I always kind of think is fun when you look back at the timestamps, 9:22 in the morning on July 6th. So we're basically just removing ourselves from the 4th of July. Jim Nagy's sitting around watching film, obviously. He's tweeting about Jaden Not back in 2024 when he had 131 yards in the first quarter against Southern Cal.
Yeah, this is a kid that Jim Nagy loves. This is somebody that he thinks is a big difference maker. He would come in and be Oklahoma's starting running back from day one. Like, that's how good this kid could be, and we'll see. I think it's gonna be one of those recruitments that could take a lot of twists and turns. Like I said, there's gonna be some big programs involved,
and there's gonna be some
this
money
is something.
He's going to be one of the more sought out guys in the transfer portal.
And I think he's going to cost somewhere around 7 figures, give or take.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about somebody that's going to cost a lot of money, and that's why you need to stay tuned on Soonerscoop.com, because I posted about it last night. I know the portal thread is being refreshed every minute right now. That place is crazy.
It was over 4 million views a year ago.
Yeah, it's insane. So you definitely need to get on there and stay up to date on Soonerscoop.com.
No doubt about it. All right, let's get into a little bit of the more wrap-up stuff from Nate Dreiling and Wes Goodwin, as well as head coach / defense coordinator Brent Venables. But first, let us tell you about our good friends over at Roback, roback.com, RHOBACK.com. If you want to get a polo like George has, or maybe some of the Looper shorts or the everyday shorts, Delta Performance pants, all you got to do is go to roback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use the promo code Sooner20 for 20% off Roback, George. And I know that it's been something that we've been talking about here, it seems like, over the last couple months. Love Roback. Can't say enough about it.
I wear Roback, I think, almost every day now.
Yeah.
Whether it's the shirt or the
even
pullover,
shorts, even like the leisure shorts.
Their joggers are great. So this is the best time of year to get some Roback.
No doubt about it. All right, let's get into a little bit of it, because obviously this was the first time that we had talked to Brent Venables after the Crimson Combine. It was the first time since his, intro or beginning press conference for spring ball, but getting a good idea of where this defense is at. Obviously, he's calling things, but just the familiarity of it with a lot of knowns, and then obviously a lot of guys that are kind of unknown, whether that be because they didn't play a year ago or they're stepping into bigger roles this season.
Yeah, he broke down the entire roster on Saturday.
Surprise, surprise.
But I think he likes this group. I think he feels like this group has a lot of potential. I think there's still a lot of growth to be had, like you said. You have your returning guys, Kobe McKenzie, Kip Lewis, Robert Spears-Jennings, Grayson Halton, but you've got a lot of newcomers too that I think are going to play a lot in this defense, and that includes maybe some guys they add in the spring transfer portal. I know cornerback is somewhere that they're looking to add, even though it sounds like they love the young depth they have there. So I think Brent really likes this group's mix of veteran leadership, some newcomers, whether that's the transfer portal or a lot of these young guys that they've been recruiting and are either first time on campus or starting to step into bigger roles, like some of those Michael Boganowskis of the world that are looking to take the next step.
Here is Brent Venables after the Crimson Combine on Saturday, just kind of giving a full summary basis of his defense heading into 2025.
Really proud, again, the work that guys put in and the improvement that I saw from players that returned with experience with Kip and Kobe and Sammy. I talked about Kendall Daniels and what he brought to that group. I thought Grayson Halton, he missed part of winter conditioning. He had an appendicitis and then had a little knee scope that he had cleaned up from the season. But once he got back out there for spring ball, man, he's really stepped into a leadership role. He's passionate. He loves to compete, loves to play, loves the locker room, loves the huddle. So he's a lot of fun, but he's not trying to be a funny guy. And so he's matured, and we need that. I think if you're going to be worth a dang on defense, you got to be great up the middle, and I'm not sure if we're going to be great yet or not. We'll find out in time. But with him and Dom Williams and Jaden Jackson and David Stone, Trent Wilson, amongst others, Marcus Strong really took another step in his maturation and growth and development. Really pleased with that group of guys, the ownership that those guys have taken. And, I thought our Mason Thomas had his best, couple of months of ball and leadership, all of it, combined. And where he's a quiet guy by nature, but I think he took a real step forward that, you got to get out of his comfort zone and raise the level of the players around him and, get players to follow your lead. And he was healthy all spring. He had a fantastic spring, got better. And then Taylor Wine, I'm really excited about Taylor. I'm really excited about Danny Okoye, the improvement that those guys made through a lot of hard work and strain. And PJ Adebayo, he's healthy and he's able to keep his weight up and is playing with a lot of confidence right now. Really like that group of players combined with the other guys. And then
Brent Venables talking about his defense overall. I thought the comments about the interior guys, obviously we're excited about R. Mason Thomas and Marvin Jones Jr. and Taylor Wine, that PJ Adebayo, as Brent said there, but is that a call out? Is it a call out to the interior guys?
I think it's definitely a situation where he's like, hey, this group can be really good, and he still wants to see more from them, right? And we saw a year ago, Grayson Halton and Dominic Williams are good players. Can they take another step? Can they be great players, this year? And then how about, Jaden Jackson? I think that's part of it, right? Jaden Jackson was probably their best defensive lineman a year ago on the interior. He's missed all spring, and that happens. And I'm not worried about Jaden Jackson, but he adds another element to the group. But, Marcus Strong, I think you love to hear about him, right? He's somebody that I think is forgotten about in that room. Like, if he's really taking another step, I think that's huge for that interior group.
No doubt about it. It's going to be kind of exciting to see, and maybe even if there's a guy in the portal that could help the interior immediately, maybe you make a run at him. It's going to be interesting to see how Jim Nagy and Brent Venables obviously kind of navigate this next couple weeks here as the spring portal opens.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like I said, there's starter level guys like a Jaden Not, right? That's going to garner a lot of money and a lot of attention. And then there's guys that, hey, maybe you can go get a defensive lineman from a G5 school that is a freshman or sophomore, and you can develop him, right? Maybe he won't be a starter for Oklahoma next year, but he's a nice depth piece to have. So there's different levels to it. What's the market? How much are some of these guys going to cost? I think that all of that plays a factor into what Oklahoma does the next couple of weeks.
The world of college football in 2025. We did talk to Nate Dreiling for the first time, Oklahoma's inside linebackers coach, and we had talked about him here on a couple of the practice reports. I know that we had talked about him on the Unofficial 40 as well, just in terms of going out to practice, seeing him interact with guys. We talked to Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie about his presence in Norman. I love this guy.
Dude, he's old school football.
Yeah.
Like he certainly, like when you talk about obviously his pedigree coming from his dad, who was is one of the best football coaches at the high school level in Kansas, and him learning from him and kind of coming up through the ranks, having to really work his way, whether that was as a player at Pitt State and being kind of an All-American at the Division II level to kind of the places that he's coached at in his career, New Mexico State, Utah State. Like, he's had to really work his way up, and you can tell that from talking to him, how humble he is, but also just when you see him out on the field, like his
intense.
Oh boy,
I think he's used the word violence like 70 times when we've been out there.
A lot of F-bombs.
Love it. I love it. He's a football coach.
Yeah, and he fits in well with this staff. Like, he certainly fits. I know he's not of the Brent Venables coaching tree like a Zach Alley was, or Ted Roof, or whoever. But this is a guy that I can certainly see getting along very well with Brent Venables.
No doubt. Let's get to know Nate Dreiling a little bit. He talked about, just kind of his road to get to Norman. Obviously made a short trip in Jonesboro. As you'll hear, he has a house for sale if you're looking to buy a house in Jonesboro. But here is Oklahoma inside linebackers coach Nate Dreiling.
Very humbled to be here. This is one of the premier programs in all of college football, and I get to coach linebackers at it, and probably one of the best linebacker scheme-friendly schemes with Coach Venables. So, and adding the fact I'm 3 hours from home, it's a dream come true, and it's been very special, and the time here has been awesome so far. Learned a lot, and the best part about this place is the players that Coach V brought in. We don't have any issue kids on the team. It's a bunch of people that are hungry, humble, right, and wanting to get this thing going and where it needs to be. I think we're all excited for that next chapter.
Just how did this come to be? It seemed like it happened kind of fast. I know you were at Arkansas State very shortly. Just take us through.
Yeah, I was at Arkansas State long enough to buy a house. So if anybody wants a house in Jonesboro, come look me up after this. Just took the DC job at A-State, and Coach V called probably 3 or 4 days before it became official, saying, asking if I was interested in all that stuff. And I told him, didn't really care what the pay was or what the title was. Just let me know, and I'll get the shortest route to Norman I can. It's like I said, I don't know if I deserve to be here, but I'm very, very humbled and very grateful that I am here, and it's a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. I try to coach how I played. I was not very fast, right? As you pointed out, obviously you found the tape, but you always try to think ahead of linebacker. Linebacker is not about how fast you run. It's awesome if you could run fast, but it's how fast you process, right? And how do you process fast? By having fast eyes, by knowing what's coming ahead, by film studies, all those little things, right? And that's what I try to instill in our players. We have a very talented group, so now how can I get them to play faster, right? And that's, for me, it's all eyes, it's all mental up top. So we spend a lot of time in the classroom on the little things, the little fundamental and technique that eventually add up to the big things that everyone wants. They know the scheme, and they've done the scheme forever, and now we're able to master these little things to make us less smooth and better and more athletic as we go. Because at the end of the day, I tell them there's 2 types of tackles: hard tackles and easy tackles. And you get easy tackles with great alignment, fundamentals, and technique. And that's what I focus off. The scheme's a scheme, and we'll handle that. But if we can master those 3 things in my classroom, right, then we're going to have a chance to be really good.
Have you shown any of the players your tape from Pitt State?
No, but I tell them all the time, if they keep missing plays, and that's where they're headed, is Pittsburgh State. So, no, they know they don't need to see my film. There's nothing impressive about that.
I would probably disagree.
Yeah.
All-time leading tackler in Division II history, I believe. Pitt State All-American, Hall
He's a
of
legend
Fame.
there, man.
Yeah, he's a badass. It's going to be exciting to see what he's able to do with Oklahoma's interior. On the flip side of a Nate Dreiling, you have a Wes Goodwin coming to town. Obviously, he worked with Brent Venables at Clemson, going to be working with the outside linebackers, the Cheetahs, for Oklahoma. And certainly one of those guys that, I think that we've talked about when you look at a Kevin Wilson or you look at a Wes Goodwin coming in with big-time experience and coming in as basically an analyst.
Yeah, and when you look back at his history, he started as a student assistant at Clemson before Brent got to Clemson. I think it was in 2009 he started, and then he became a GA under Brent. He became a defensive analyst, and he really was the right-hand man for Brent Venables during all that success in his career. He also spent some time with the Arizona Cardinals as the assistant to the head coach for Bruce Arians, and won one national championship with Clemson, I think. But
yeah, I believe so.
But he was a big part of that, and you think back to some of those Clemson defenses and how great they were. Isaiah Simmons, I know we've talked about that, and we'll get to that comparison with Kendall Daniels here in a second, but that is certainly somebody that is very comfortable with Brent, understands the scheme, knows his coaching habits, and just, again, is somebody that fits in really well with the staff and can be kind of Brent's eyes and ears at a position that's really crucial for this defense.
No doubt about it. Here is Wes Goodwin talking to the media on Saturday.
At the core, I think he's still the same person, just a fiery, passionate, genuine guy who truly loves coaching ball and pouring into his guys on a daily basis. Just watching him when he first got to Clemson, it took about 3 years. 2014 was kind of our first year where we really made a splash, but really just been fun to watch him grow. Obviously he was there for 10 years, and no one's a better recruiter. No one's going to outwork him more. No one's a better teacher and coach of defensive football, I believe, in this country. And, just honored to work with him on a daily basis in that standpoint.
How's your short history with the Cardinals and Bruce Arians? How's that going to carry over to what you do here? What did you learn from that you take with you today?
Yeah, BA is such a great leader, and obviously he was an offensive-minded head coach. So, but my time there, coaching is all about relationships and pouring into guys, and if you can help guys get better and learn and grow, and also build the respect factor between coach and player. Coaching NFL guys are no different than coaching college guys. So it's all about building credibility, and helping those guys on a daily basis get better.
When I think of the pedigree that both of these new guys are coming from, and I think of Nate Dreiling obviously working alongside Jerry Kill, you have Wes Goodwin working alongside a Bruce Arians, if you will. Yeah. ultimate football guys.
Oh, 100%. And that's what you kind of like about this staff is the experience. Think about this, Eddie. They have 4 guys that have been defensive coordinators before, right? You've got
Throw in Brandon Hall as well.
Brandon Hall, Brent Venables, obviously, Nate Dreiling, and Wes Goodwin have all called defensive plays. That's pretty incredible to all have that on your staff. And again, I think they all gel. And for the most part, I guess Dreiling is the new guy that hasn't coached with Brent before. But like I said, the way he coaches it, the way he understands the linebacker position, he fits in perfectly. And again, you add in on top of that he's been a defensive coordinator and a head coach technically last year, right, as an interim. So you got to love this staff on the defensive side of the ball right now.
No doubt about it. Something that Goodwin and Dreiling both talked about on Saturday after the Crimson Combine was kind of a running theme of spring ball. And that has been the addition of Kendall Daniels to the Cheetah position.
Look, he has been kind of, when you talk about on the defensive side, he's been the talk of the spring. It's like, where are they going to play him? Is he going to play at will? Is he going to play at Cheetah? He's their best looking guy, right? Like, how many times have we said that over the last month? And it's true. And I think that when you look at his history at Oklahoma State, playing safety and linebacker, and the career that he had there, obviously also coming out of high school, and Oklahoma really wanted him, I think that this is a guy that could be a huge difference maker for OU next year, and he's the ideal body type and athlete for that Cheetah position that we've seen, over the years at Clemson, especially, under Brent Venables, a guy like that play that spot. So I think that he could have a monster year if it clicks for him right, and that's the one thing that Kendall's got going for him. I think he's got some really good coaches around him to teach this, and I know he talked about that with us at practice a couple weeks ago, is the amount of knowledge in that room, I think has really been a big benefit, and as well as some of the players, Kobe and Kip being there, helping him teach the defense. I think that's been huge for him.
Wes Goodwin and Nate Dreiling both talked about, obviously Kendall Daniels, but here's Wes Goodwin talking about the Cheetah position just as a whole, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the Kendall Daniels stuff.
Yeah, I think there's kind of 2 body types that we've used in that role. You could label those a big cheetah, little cheetah. So big cheetah being more of a true linebacker body type. So just guys historically, Isaiah Simmons, Dorian O'Daniel that played for the Chiefs, Kendall Daniels, obviously. But then you could also say little cheetah guys. So Kendall Dolby, Reggie Powers, Andrew Makuba that we had at Clemson. Those type of guys. So it just depends on what you kind of want to use with that type of skill set. Bigger guys on early downs to set the edge, blitz them. Having that big body to set the edge on all the screen game, and then maybe third down you personnel it and get more of a speedy cover guy in that role.
And like coaching Kendall Daniels, and does he remind you of Isaiah Simmons?
Yeah, most definitely. Kendall and Isaiah, both long body guys that are highly versatile, highly athletic guys, but also guys that are football junkies. I see them study. Both of those guys study a tremendous amount of ball and just pour into their craft on a daily basis. But I envision kind of Kendall being in that type of role. And just the versatility and moving him around and being able to ask him to do multiple things for us.
No, I think Coach Goodwin will probably compare him maybe to Isaiah Simmons, but no, not that I've seen. He's 6'5", 240, and he's half the time he's going to the post and doing a halves coverage or playing man or blitzing the big gap. How rangy and how athletic he is at that size is very, very, very freaky. And that's the cool thing about him is you have no idea where he's going to line up on the play, and he has so many tools and so much things that he can bring for this defense. I think he's going to fall in love, and you guys are going to fall in love with him this fall watching him do it.
It's going to be a long couple months here waiting for the start of the season to see how they use a Kendall Daniels, but if you can be anything close to what an Isaiah Simmons gave Clemson, or even Andrew Makuba, who's had an excellent career, and then obviously he finished down in Texas. It's going to be kind of fun to see how they use these guys because they do have a lot of versatility at that position, and it's something that we've talked about.
Yeah, and Kendall's a guy that I've said on here, he is a NFL day 2 draft pick if he goes out and has a great season. That's the kind of athlete he is, and I'm not sure that Brent Venables in his time at OU has had that guy yet, right? You look, I think it was Justin Harrington, or I guess it was Deshaun White that played Cheetah the first year Brent was here. Then it was Justin Harrington. He got hurt. So you kind of had this mix of, I think Dasan McCullough played it a little bit, Kendall Dolby. And, I think Dasan's a good athlete. I don't know if he fits the Cheetah position exactly. Sure. Kendall Dolby, you love the way he plays. He plays like he's 6'5", 240 pounds. But like Goodwin said in that clip, you have your small cheetahs, you have your big cheetahs, and then you have Kendall Daniels, who's, I think, just kind of the perfect fit for it. So it's really exciting, and I'm interested to see, if Kendall's playing cheetah, where does I guess if Kendall Daniels is playing cheetah, where's Kendall Dolby playing, right? The two Kendalls, because I would imagine they'd like to have both guys on the field at the same time.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see how it all comes together. Obviously, did want to clean up a couple of the items that Brent Venables did talk about, just in terms of the defensive guys. Peyton Bowen, Eli Bowen, Gentry Williams, those are all three guys that obviously they didn't do a whole lot during the spring, but they're full throttle ready to roll as we head into, obviously the offseason with Schmitty and then, of course, the beginning of camp.
And again, these are guys that if they had to play this past week or, these last couple weeks, I think they would have.
Yeah, in fact, I want to say that Peyton Bowen was going through some of the workouts when we were out there the last time. I guess that would have been Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't think these are serious injuries. It's kind of like what we've said all spring. They're being very cautious. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to get these guys injured in spring camp, especially guys that, know the defense. You know what you're getting from them. This isn't something, of course, you'd like for them to be out there. They can get better and develop, but it's also provided a really good opportunity for some young guys in the secondary to get some time.
No doubt about it. All right, that's going to do it for today's practice report. Next step here is spring portal, full throttled for everybody, including both of us here on the YouTube as well as the Crimson Quarter and SoonerScoop.com. So good time to be a part of the community over there for just $1. You want to do it because there's going to be a ton of news here over the next, I would say certainly the next 48 hours as things open up, and then we'll see guys setting up visits, guys coming in and out. What's OU's level of interest for a lot of these guys, not just on the defensive side of the ball, but certainly at wide receiver, tight end, running back. It's going to be kind of fun to follow. It's kind of an exciting, disgusting time, if you will, here as we enter the spring portal.
And, you have potential departures as well that I'm sure will pop up over the next few days. I know OU's doing exit interviews today, and they did some yesterday as well. So you could see some departures here soon. There's a lot going on, and the perfect place to stay up to date is Soonerscoop.com.
No doubt about it. For George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We will see you back here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel.